Hey, hey, beautiful people. It is 3:14 p.m. on September 18th, 2014. I uh I did a video earlier today, and it's interesting how sometimes and I'm still not quite sure which comes first, the chicken or the egg, but I did not post that video. Number one, because as the message was coming through, I was explaining things and giving historical reference in my experience that actually had other people's names involved and their lack of participation. And these are some of the global teachers who we've all heard about and know. And so I was hesitant and wanted to review the message before I went and posted it to YouTube. And I had to go out. And while I was out, I started having these mm, I guess you could say doubts about posting that message. And anyway, when I came back, I ended up with so many different persons messaging me about all the teachers out there and about their resonating or not resonating with everything that everybody says. And that's really what my message was about. And I'm coming back in to, I've got three or four messages that I've just checked just as I came back in a few minutes ago. They were all about the same thing. And it really has to do with, on the greatest level, it has to do with the individuals finally hitting a level of consciousness where they're receiving their own messages and they are attuning inside, because that's the only way you can get those messages is by expanding your consciousness field, your tritial field, your auric field, and by incorporating more light, higher vibration. The levels of the vibration are just your dimensional attunings to whatever level of consciousness that you're vibrating at to get those messages. Each one of the chakras is in a direct relation to the vibration, to the frequency of that, as well as each one of your layers of higher self. It's all really it's all very similar. It's all very similar. All works together. It's all part of how this physical vessel functions. This whole subject really kicked off yesterday with a post that I uh, I had made. Actually, it came from Susanna Furr, and it was a post from another light worker talking about the light worker deception and talking about all these false prophets and the false. Uh, Somebody's messaged me again. Shh, I'm making videos. About all the persons, coming out with dates for ET landings, or we're going to have ascension on a certain date, or we're going to have a currency revaluation, the RV, on a certain date. Everybody's going to be millionaires, and the Dragon family's coming out on certain dates, or Obama's going to tell everybody about the joke of what all this is about on certain days. It's the same December 21st, 2012 scenario for all those persons that felt they were going to get beamed off planet because they didn't go inside. They were looking for an event, and that's another part of this, the events. For looking for the event to the exterior of them rather than shifting their consciousness from their head to their heart, really activating their heart chakra and their light body, and connecting with source, the field, all that is, the ones, the atonement, at one the oneness, and attuning themselves to those frequencies and getting their messages directly. And so many people really, really are looking to the exterior and want someone else to save them rather than doing their own inner work and expanding their light field, which In order to do that, number one, you have to go inside. Number two, you have to clean up all the resistance and the negativity, the resistors to your energetic flow with your being. And allow that energy to flow. And a lot of persons are, you know, they want that savior mentality. They want the ETs to come save us. They want the, the dragon family with all this gold or St. Germain's Trust to give it to everybody on planet, and that instantly changes everything, and we'll live happily ever after. But that's not how it works. If that happens, individuals haven't really gone through and learned their lessons. And that's what life's strife is all about. That's what this time of ascension is all about. It's all about personal mastery, mastering your own ascension. Ascension is literally, number one, the shift of the consciousness from the head to the heart, the expansion of the light, the recognizing yourself as energy, eternal energy, rather than this temporal form that we think of as ourselves when we're, playing an ego. And a lot of persons don't want to be responsible. It's too much work for them right now. It's too much work for them to really go inside and to look at their own actions and how their thoughts, their perceptions, the way they've been brought up, what they believe is true, creates and forms this that they call their reality and their experience. In each different stage or level of higher attainment, higher vibration that we can attune to, there's going to be different levels of rules to the game as we go through all those processes too. So it's in a constant state of changing and removing limited perceptions and resistance and lower vibrations. I'd call it negativity because that's really what it is. The negativity or negative resistance keeps the energy from flowing through the field. And it's one thing to see these things on the exterior of ourselves, because everybody out there is going to have, they're all walking around in their own universes and creating their own reality. And a lot of what's going on planet right now is cleanup. It has to do with karma or magnetics. People get upset at seeing and witnessing what other individuals are experiencing out there, when in reality we're all creating our experience, and in reality we have to be responsible for our experience. We've had many lives in this duality game, and with our soul contracts, sometimes we've been bad to others, and this time we got a payback magnetics where they're bad to us, and in that karma, that magnetics has got to be completed and can only be completed by the individuals. If persons who are really focused on their inner beings, their relationship with the higher self and the higher levels of light and frequency, and they are drawn out and into looking at how bad another's experience is with the level of light and frequency that we hold within our field, what ends up happening is we manifest that very readily into our own personal experience. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. As gatekeepers, we want to avoid that. We want to channel in the higher vibrations and channel out the lower magnetics and the lower densities, and have compassion for persons in their experience. And when those having that not so fun experience have had enough of it and they want to change it and they're ready to go through their ascension process, then we're there and we're able to participate for them. There's There's a huge difference between a geopolitical awakening and a spiritual awakening. The geopolitical awakening looks at everything out there as, oh my God, look at what's going on with the planet. They're killing everybody and killing the planet, and they're trying to give everybody GMOs and control the monetary system and enslave you in every way, and they're going to kill us, and only 5% of the planetary population is going to survive this. Well, that's geopolitical awakening, and really it's our thoughts and emotions that really dictate our experience. When you have found that bliss because you've stepped into the early parts of your ascension and you've activated your heart chakra, the last thing you want to do is be focused heavily into that geopolitical awakening, because whatever you're going to focus your intent and your emotions upon, your thought and your emotion, whatever you're going to see in your mind and speak forth and feel with your heart, you're going to be manifesting that in your own life. That's the mastery each and every one of us have to learn. If somebody has not literally gone through that to the point to where they say, you know, I really do not like what I'm experiencing in my life, and I am willing to change it and do something different and see what else happens. If somebody hasn't gotten to that point, they're not ready to go through their ascension process. And you can't just bring them through it. They have not learned their lessons and are ready for that next level of mastery. So we have to compassionately detach ourselves from what we're seeing going on out in the field and hold our own vibration and remove any resistance to our manifestations so that we can readily manifest that which we wish to experience. The world that I choose to manifest and create out there, the 1,000 years of peace I see, I cannot drag anybody into, nor can I build it for everybody out there. Persons who are ready come in and hold that focus, their divine thought, divine plan that we're going to have 1,000 years of peace, and see what all they wish to contribute to that, how they perceive their life, to speak from that viewpoint and to feel it as, you know, this is their experience. That is how we build the hologram. That's how we create a new earth. It is a hologram out there. It is all about magnetics out there. When people get hung up on what they're visibly seeing, they're not realizing that that is a manifestation of the thought and emotion that they've been holding. That's not saying that I don't see bad things going on out there. I see things that are not something I would wish to experience, but that's another individual's choice that they're experiencing that. When they complete their duality game, then that won't be happening anymore. When everybody finally wakes up to how this illusion we call life is generated, then they'll change the game and we can dimensionally shift this planet. There's so many people out there that think that something on the exterior of them is going to bring them the peace and give them everything that they want in this enlightenment. And they don't realize that enlightenment does not come from the outside. The enlightenment comes from the inside. The enlightenment comes from shifting your head, your mind from your brain and into the heart. Mind is that consciousness that you are, the eternal you, that light that you really truly are. And it requires that you shift from the duality, plurality of the brain and into the heart to begin the expansion of that light. Become enlightened. Enlighten yourself. Enlightenment is something that the individuals have to seek. That light that we hold, that we call our auric field or our light body, that which is contained by our Merkaba, that light is consciousness. That light is the field. That light is all that is. That light is the energy necessary for your personal creation. You as creator being and the field on the outside, the 2 points with a divine thought and plan that you put to the field, and then that field and you overlay for forming the Vesica Pisces in the center. The 2 points overlaying, forming the Vesica Pisces, which is the experience. We all do that. There is no consciousness in existence that is not creating its reality. So getting hung up about what we're seeing going on out there on planet Earth, or whatever anybody is having to deal with, because they're neutralizing the magnetics in their life, what they have created over this life and many other lifetimes, over their soul contracts to incarnate in a certain place or in certain families or around certain individuals, or marrying to this person or birthing that person, or genetically involved in this person or that. That's all part of the soul contracts and the magnetics, which we have to recognize, identify, and overcome to be the magi of our experience. Our imagination. I, magi. I, image. I, magi. My nation, my world. I am imagining my world, my experience. I'm bringing that into manifestation. It's all through the imagination. Oh man, oh man, oh man. It's really interesting to see how many people are constantly waiting on something to shift this reality from the outside. An event, an RV. Oh, this is interesting, because a friend of mine, and I'd always hoped this RV would be true, but I have a feeling that it's all a staged event by the same bankers in control. A friend of mine sent me $50 trillion, actually $500 trillion. Yeah, 10 of these bills, which the RV was going to have the Chinese dragon family backing all this hyperinflated currency, $50 trillion worth, with gold. But please think about this, people. If you have the dragon family out there, and the dragon family has all this gold, St. Germain's Trust, all this that's left over, that has been accumulated over thousands of years, and they are and they're holding this gold for this time to change humanity. If that gold is out there to revalue these currencies, what would that do? I mean, why would somebody take fiat currency and back it with gold without changing the economy and the banking system and the government system and how we own or perceive ownership is on this planet? We wouldn't be doing anything by doing that other than prolonging the game for another period of time. That is continuing the monopoly game. This is monopoly money. Monopoly money. Here's some Vietnamese dong. Monopoly money. And this one's Zimbabwe. Monopoly money. Now, if we take a whole bunch of gold and we stand behind these currencies and we say, okay, well, this currency, we're just taking off a couple of zeros back here, but then it's going to be worth that larger value. Right now, the way that the game's played with the bankers and the corporations controlling the government, they control our power, they control our vehicles, they control the petrol and the oil that's used within those vehicles. They control the food supply. They control the raping of the planet. They control the economies. Well, I'm getting a very sharp pain in my head as I say that. Strange, because I don't usually get headaches. If we don't, as a people, wake up, shift our consciousness from our head to our heart, live from our heart, quit putting our currency. This is the real currency. The real currency is our field. The real currency is that energy, that light that we expand ourselves into as we go through our ascension process. That is the true electromagnetic field, current field, currency field. This is just a representation of that field. And people put their life into trying to have this stuff, or even this stuff, a different type of currency, rather than building their real currency. This is eternal currency. This is temporal currency. Temporal currency. This can be taken away. This you can't take away from me. This lasts forever. This, well, these might, since they're plastic, they probably disappear in when I run it through a dryer cycle when I wash my pants, because I do that quite a bit. Oh man, what a trip. Everything on this planet, every single thing on this planet, technology wise, is a representation of what we already do as spiritual beings. It doesn't matter whether that currency is a representation of this currency, this light, or this light here, a representation of the same light here. Many times when the camera's right, I can't tell what it's going to do right now, but you can see the light of my aura in my field. And there's so many masters that have been around this planet that live in caves and far, far away places that don't need vehicles to travel in because they can levitate and move. They don't need, although they live in caves, lights to light up the place because they glow. Even this computer right here, this computer is nothing more than a representation of the human physical form. This computer is a whole series of electronics. This is actually a stepper driver for my 3D printer that I'm still putting together right here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm finally getting the electronics wired up in it. Man, that's been a real pain in the butt. 3D printers are advancing so quickly right now that people are building parts and there's just not all the details or manuals for all the parts, and you don't know about the changes. I mean, it took me freaking 2 weeks to upgrade and get everything working, functioning fine there with all the parts I had to get from all over the place. And I couldn't find any manuals that could, relate to me all the upgrades on those parts. But that's what we're doing in our ascension process right now. Somebody's taking off in one direction really fast and getting so much information as with the levels of consciousness that they are attuning to, and they're trying to relate it to the world. And this person's working in a different way and doing the same thing, and this person's working in a different way and doing the same thing, and I'm working in my way, and I'm relating whatever messages are coming through, from me. But again, back to this computer. This computer is nothing more than a replication of a human physical form in an inanimate object. It's got a hard drive, which is kind of like your heart. Without your heart, you're not going to do diddly squat, and your brain's not going to function right. It's got all the software that's in the brain, all your different skills and crafts and trades and abilities and memories and all those things that you can gather from to function and create whatever you wish. It's got a bus within it, which takes all the various types of hardware that's within it. The bus is very much like the nervous system and vascular system within the human body. and allows all that information to travel back and forth. It's got extra memory storage, kind of like the magnetics within, our human body. And magnetics, see, our memories are not necessarily always stored in the brain. We think they're stored within the brain, but it's really within the magnetics, between the atoms, between the electrons and the protons within the cells of the physical vessel. That's where magnetic memory tape, magnetic cassette tape, 8-track, magnetics. Remember recording on those cassette tapes, those magnetic cassette tapes, as this whole magnetosphere is collapsing around Earth, it's allowing those magnetics to be disrupted, to format. We're formatting Ascension as a process of formatting this physical computer. So many people are consistently looking to the exterior for their messages right now. And Ascension is all about becoming your own master, not relying on anything to the exterior, about becoming a master creator, about becoming a master of the messages you receive, the vibration you will hold to. What is it you wish to create? Those various levels of higher self and all the various frequency ranges that are your levels of higher self or your chakras, each one of those works in a different way for that which you wish to create and manifest. And the only way that you're going to master all this is to go inside. The only way I'm a master at all is to go inside and to connect with those various levels and decide what it is that I wish to manifest. Lately, I've been wanting to manifest less and less and less of really anything, because we've got to be responsible, karmically, magnetically responsible for what we create, for where we place our thought, where we place our emotion. If we're focused in on crap going on out there that person did to that person, which doesn't affect me, but it affects that person and that person. But if I'm going to focus in on that, then all of a sudden the crap that person is generating with them is going to start affecting my life. And because I'm jumping into that, then I will generate the crap in that manifestation within my own being, my own field. I don't want to get into that. I've been through that. I was jumping up and down about that stuff 35 years ago. Oh man, that brings me back to other points about the events, about the saviors coming to save us. 35 years ago, my mother was telling me, as she and Kim Bright had gone to see Benjamin Krim, about Maitreya is on his way. He's going to be coming here and he's going to be teaching everybody all about the ascension process. And that was a carrot on a stick. Carrot on a stick. Everybody's trying to wait and catch that carrot. 35 years later, Maitreya, that form never showed. What's the best way how you can hang up the ascension process? What's the best way how you can keep it from happening? You can probably more easily than anything else, if you understand how the astral levels work, how thought works, how magnetics works on that fourth dimensional level, by taking persons who were channels, who were empathic in receiving messages, and you can send them messages about the ETs are coming to save us. There's going to be the great landings and the great masters are going to be walking out teaching us about ascension. We've got all these healing chambers that we can put you in so that you haven't ever got to do anything with the ascension yourself. You don't have to be responsible. It can all be done for you. And you can be guided like sheep in through your ascension process without having to become a master. You get it? 35 years ago. Well, it's maybe longer than that. It's that's 40 years ago now. It was in 1984 1984, my mother was telling me about Maitreya, and that she had been to see Benjamin Krim. Maitreya is coming to teach the world all about ascension. Just wait on Maitreya to come do that. And I was like, I'm a part of this group of 144,000, and I couldn't comprehend what that meant then. But I know we're getting ready to gather soon. That was my response to her. And that response actually started a lifelong upset between my mother and myself, because I've been shunned via my family for a long time because of my spiritual beliefs and my memories of what I'm here to do and what I have done. And they always thought that ascension was, once you began that process, you were out of here, you were off planet. Well, before 1992, that was a truth. But since we opened the 1111 doorway, that set up for the whole planet and all the collective of humanity and Mother Earth to go through this ascension process, all as one, all at the same time. And with those gatherings, from harmonic convergence through the 1111 doorway, through all our other gatherings since, we keep on running in, those of us who participate, keep on running into persons that are very familiar to us, but not of this lifetime. It's like, I know you, but we've never met before. I really know you. But that's because we all came together as part of the volunteers to get together for those certain events here on planet during these times, to raise the frequencies of the planet, to allow the consciousness to flow, to do ceremony. Ceremony is nothing but putting energy into motion to create a new reality. That's what it's all about. That's why we get together and do ceremonies. We move energy. It's a ritual to move energy to create a new reality. And that's why ceremonies are so freaking important. Used to, it took many of us. It took 144,000 of us back then, because the frequencies of the planet were so low, as well as the light of the individuals were so low. By mid-2000s, it only required about the square root of 1% of the planetary population, being 7 billion people, roughly 8,000 persons, to focus on a single unified thought, feeling, and emotion to send those ripples out through the collective humanity and change. Look what's happened since 2009. Look what's happened since the initial 40 days of no negativity, of activating your heart chakras, of activating your light body and your Merkaba. Look at what's happened since 2009, since those events started. Yeah, it's all about mastery, and mastery is all about going inside. You will not find your mastery on the exterior. With these, so many people are getting frustrated with messages that are coming in from channelers now, and that's part of what my messages have been about since I just got home not too long ago. Man, people are just messaging me left and right here. And it's tending to be the same thing. It's like, man, I just can't take all these messages out there anymore. It's because you're not supposed to. You're supposed to come to a point where you're actually becoming the generator of your messaging. You complete yourself at 33 minutes. That's kind of funny. 33 as I look down right now. And I had to go get another Vicrim, and the bill on it, to have them do the labor and everything, was 6666. Completion numbers. We are not supposed to be dependent on anybody else. The field, when you are really connecting and getting your own personal mastery, the field and messages out there, generally, the way that I use them is confirmation. When I have this message so strong come through, and I even put it in videos, or I write about it, or blog about it, or speak to other people about it, when I'm hearing the messages from other bloggers, from other channelers, from the field back to me in confirmation, that's just guaranteeing that what I thought, what I felt was dead on. And these days, man, there is nothing I do because I follow my heart, I follow my field, I follow my intuition. I'm not about my head. I'm not about trying to think my way through this. I'm about feeling my way through it. There's nothing I do that is without confirmation anywhere. And usually I have 3, 4, 5, 6 confirmations that is all about the same thing. And it's all right at the same time. And it's just like a perfect sequence of events to go, yep, you're right on, get viewed, now go to the next one. And that's how I use messages now. So many people are really getting frustrated because so much of what's being said by many channels out there right now, just like talking about the events, just like talking about the RV, just like talking about the ET landings, so many people are putting their stock, their emotion, their energies into that and going, somebody's going to save me and I don't have to do nothing. And then they get disappointed when it happens, and they're really putting that negative emotion, that negative energy, that disappointment out into the field and generating more and more and more of the same. Because that's how this works. You're always going to get the more of the same that you're putting out there. If you're putting out joy and happiness and magic, then you're going to get joy and happiness and magic back. If you're putting up this victimization role, then, you know, the cops are going to pull you over and beat you up and take you to jail and try to take all your stuff. And that's exactly how it works. That's how everything works. That's how everything works. And there's no excuses. We're not having Maitreya and all the ascended masters coming here to save us. It's not going to happen. We're not having E.T., our ET brethren, which are us, our future selves, which come here and overlook. And, you know, I keep on seeing ships all the time, that the ships that I see, it's just me. It's me coming back to look at me. And it is always at certain times that's like a confirmation. If I go outside and I happen to see it, it's usually as I have just graduated to another initiation, I have this profound realization of something, or I'm getting downloads and encodings going, wow, that's a trip, or I'm being guided in that direction, or I've just had this fantastic conversation with somebody, and then there's the ship. And to me, what I have realized is our ETs that we constantly see and resonate with, and for me, I've been seeing light ships since I was a kid. These are our future selves that's watching over us now and they're guiding and directing. They're being our guides. It is us in that. For the ETs that is us, our future selves, to land and walk up to us and say, hey, I'm your future self, let me shake your hand. I don't know if can that happen? I don't know. That might totally change reality right there, where you actually could not exist on this level, which means they could not exist on that level if that happened. There's going to be rules of engagement for our working with our future self, but that's not the point of what I'm trying to say here. The point is, our future selves cannot land and give us all this technology and give us all our ways out, take care of us. Number one, because that is against how karma and magnetics works and could be a problem for them. But number two, it's up for us to get ourselves from here to there. It's up to us to change our world here. We don't change our world here by going out and beating up this person that beat up that person, that is being allowed because the corporations are running that government and taking all the money, and this person can dominate that person. Nope, 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 nope. We've got to remove ourselves from those situations. We've got to change those inner magnetics. When one does change those inner magnetics within themselves, then the whole exterior illusion is magical to them, although they can still see this stuff going on outside. Their own personal illusion, which changes by changing one atom, you change everything. By changing your or me changing my illusion, we change everything on the outside. If we understand that this person and that person might have killed that person in the last life, now it's up to this person to take care of that and to neutralize the magnetics, the karma. When you realize how that has got to play out, then you can treat it with compassionate detachment and not get upset about what's going on out there. If somebody is out there saying, help me, I need to be fed, or I need to be clothed, then okay, by all means, do it. But to jump in and to try to change the world on the exterior, you're not doing diddly squat. You're not done with 3 and 4D yet. And I know a lot of people are going to get mad at me about that, because I have said this many a time before. In 2009, there were a lot of metaphysical websites like 2012 Scenario and quite a few others that were posting my 40 days of no negativity or heart chakra activation messages. And then all of a sudden those same individuals started talking about, oh, the ETs are going to come and land and take care of us, and we haven't got to do anything. And there are a few others that were spiritual teachers that said, oh, you haven't got to do anything with your chakras, and you'll be taken care of. Well, if you don't realize how the game's played, if you don't realize if you don't understand the mechanical manual for this earth transportation mechanism and you hadn't read through it, then you're going to end up with some issues. And, you got to understand how it works. Or not. It's no matter to me, but that's what mastery is all about, is understanding how it works, how this earth transportation mechanism functions, how the hologram, the illusion, because it is an illusion. It's an illusion that we change with our thoughts, our emotions, our perceptions, what we identify with. Our diet. It's not, diet is not about just what you intake as a food sustenance into your body. Diet is it's your thoughts, your emotions, your perceptions, the people you hang with, your job, the air you breathe, the house you live in, the environment, electromagnetic or not, that you're living within. Diet is how you think. Diet is a lot, and diet is being around how other people think. Diet is the television you attune to, what songs you tune to. Diet is the technology that you choose to work and play with. Diet is your choices in life. Diet is so much more than just food, and people get hung up about it as being food. And they go, well, I eat the right food and I have a pretty body. Look at me, I'm ascending. No, that's not how it works. Ascension is shifting the consciousness from the head to the heart. Now, an individual who does that might be looked at as not caring so much about the rest of the world, and they really don't. Somebody who really is going through their ascension process, they're going to realize how this illusion is created, and they're going to be protecting themselves from having any bad experience. They're going to be mastering their illusion. Now, when somebody else wants to know about how the illusion is created and about, okay, well, you've been down so goddamn long that it all looks like up, then you're ready. When you've been down, then you're ready to get up and to change the situation. Then and only then. And then when those people who are really, really tired of their situation ask, we can go running to help them out, but we cannot change their magnetics. We cannot release their karma. We cannot do anything to release their resistance on the inside, their negativity on the inside. Only the individual can do that. but we can guide them. We can, discuss it. We can do videos like what I'm doing here, trying to express how this all works. Giving the manual, the operating manual for the Earth transportation mechanism, the earthly experience, and then and only then do we really help out another individual. The individual has to be ready for it. I'm sure this is more messages. It seems like everybody since I came home was messaging me saying, man, I'm tired of all these messages outside. And that really all started with this RV. All about the monies. The monies. My take on all this, and especially the Iraqi dinar, especially the Iraqi dinar, when the Bush family, because of oil, decided to pin 9/11 on Saddam, which was a whole bunch of BS, and then they created the false war because we had weapons of mass destruction over in Iraq, and we had to go invade Iraq and kill how many millions of people. And they started, removing the dinar, and I remember, the news stating, all the soldiers stating how many loads and loads of Iraqi dinar they were finding everywhere, and turning in. Well, the Bush family ended up with all that. And the Bush family had to have the war because George Bush Sr.'s Zapata Oil Company down in Kuwait, that's what the first Persian Gulf War was all about. And then they were in control of the Federal Reserve Bank. They're trying to get rid of all these U.S. fiat currency dollars like that. And they were printing them like they were going out of style and shipping them out of country under the disguise of the military and shipped them over to Baghdad, with the military guarding them. And I knew guys that were guarding the pallet loads of $100 bills that were moving them all over country and all over the Middle East. And the Bushes were just running the printing process at the Federal Reserve Bank nonstop and shipping that money outside of the country rather than to support the economy here in the United States. And by doing that, they were buying up gold and silver and land and whatever else on the outside of the country, or even other monies. And they were collapsing the American dollar at the same time. They were increasing their profits because of the oil. And then they took out Saddam Hussein, who didn't have anything to do with 9/11, and started stealing all the hyperinflated Iraqi dinar that he had. And since they took all that, then what else are they going to do? Then start something like the RV, a revaluation of currency. They control the Federal Reserve Bank. They have taken other people's hyperinflated currency and brought it over into the States, and then they turn around and sell it and make money off of that too. And they create all these things through our channels, our astral persons who are channeling these messages from the higher realms of deceased people and saying that all this is going to be worth something. And, for me, I was like, why would the Dragon family, if they've got so much gold, and see, these guys have been collecting the gold since the silk trade routes back in, for the past several thousand years, as the Europeans wanted spice and silk, they were paying the Chinese, the Asians, where it was coming from, with gold. And so the Chinese ended up with all the gold. And that was pretty smart business. But that's putting value to gold, which gold really has no value. It's got spiritual value. It's got electromagnetic value. It's got industrial value. But, as far as money, there's no value to this. This only has value because you and I agreed to it. Now, why would the Dragon family back all this fiat currency with their gold and try to perpetuate this monopoly game again? That doesn't make any sense. look at how many individuals were channeling all about the RV and about the revaluation of these fiat currencies. I mean, that's saying that gold has a value, when to me, none of it really has a value. The only currency that has a value is this currency right here, my art field. That light, the real currency, that has value. That has eternal value. The rest of this is nothing but crap. Crap that's required to buy certain things because people have declared ownership over everything, declared corporate structures and everything else. They've taken us into perceptions that these things are real technology and not the light here with our imagination, our I nation, our I magic nation, which is the true currency. You cannot do that without your light, without your frequency. You cannot manifest like that without changing your perceptions, without understanding that you are the gold. No amount of this can buy this. Can't happen. Doesn't work that way. This only comes from going inside. It comes from seeking. No ETs, no ascended masters can drop down here and give you that light. There's not going to be any little pods they can put you in and get you that light. That's all about, it's a personal quest. And that's what ascension is all about. That's what these 1,000 years of peace is all about. That's what this that we're coming up and into on this planet is all about. The personal mastery of 7 billion plus individuals on this planet. That's what it's about. It's really interesting to see so many people now coming to that point to where they're tired of the channeled messages. They're tired of seeking out all these dead souls who must be more higher advanced than me, must know more about what's going on because they can be all over the place, rather than just connecting to the personal field and knowing that, you know, something's fishy about these things. Something is very fishy about that. That was my first message. Why would anybody want to hyperinflate that? Now that takes me back to the Dragon family. The Dragon family, if they've got all this gold, and I've been in touch with quite a few of them. I've met a few of them. I'm in the circles. And I disagree with a lot of what they have to say. They're talking about starting their own banks, and they're talking about starting their own banks with interest rates, usury, the same thing that got us into this situation with the bankers in the first place, same thing that Christ said, do not declare usury. Christians cannot do usury. And you know, here we have a lot of members of the Dragon family that proclaim in the Bible, but don't even understand the basics about usury and what got us here. They're not understanding about the technologies that we need to change, like how we derive our power from these coal-fired power plants, or from natural gas, or from nuclear power plants. We've got to change all that. We cannot keep on driving these gasoline and diesel. Well, diesel's fine because we can create algae oils and vegetable oils and actually run those, but really we need to be running off of power that's personally generated by the vehicles. We need to be running off of fuel cells that is running off of hydrogen, oxygen, water. We need to be running off of technologies that we have that are off the shelf right now, that are everywhere. If the Dragon family really has all this money, why are they talking about continuing the way that we're doing operations in the first place? These houses that we're building here, this type of electricity that we use within here, all of that's got to be totally, if you want to set somebody free, you've got to give them a house that's going to be maintenance free on a piece of property that they can grow their own food, from. They've got their own water source there. They can generate their own power right there. They can generate the power for their vehicle right there on site at their house. And for very little money, rather than giving these persons tens of billions of dollars, everybody was going to be a billionaire. Remember OPPT, and we were talking about our real value and what the banks trade us as, and we wanted that value back. Well, everybody was being traded at what, $10 billion a piece is what was being said. For only a couple of $100,000, you can free a person forever. A couple of $100,000. We don't need millions upon millions of dollars. And then we could put the gold that the Dragon family has back into its spiritual use. Real silver and real gold hold energies, hold magnetics on spiritual levels. They are vortex materials. Any place you find a natural vortex on this planet, it's where volcanic flumes are. It's where silver and gold and copper and other metals are coming out, or crystals are coming out, or silicates are coming out, or iron, or, you know, it's those metallics, those crystalline structures that allow the energy to flow from negative ground, Mother Earth, to the positive ethers in space. And that's where silver and gold, other than for technology, that's its real value right there. It's not as money. I mean, money is a representation of this currency that we should all really be seeking for our magical powers, our true magical abilities. This currency ain't going to do squat except buying this economic system that's collapsing right now that we've got to change. People are going to have to wake up and see what's really, really going on. Even geopolitically, a lot of persons who are spiritually awake aren't realizing that we can't continue with these types of vehicles and these types of houses and the types of power that we're using. This is raping our planet. We can't continue with that. We already have everything that we need except funds to change it, except for the gold to change it. That's how this needs to be used, so we can change the way that we live. And it won't take much of this to change that way. We have those capabilities off the shelf out there right now. And that's the direction I'm going. That's the direction where I wish to play. Now, unfortunately, it does require funds. Funds to do 3D printers, and funds to do projects, and funds to get electronics, and funds to do all these things that mimic what eventually we're going to do naturally. But that's why this is a transition. Electronics, money, even these type of currencies. Even if these currencies are back, it's just a transition. It's a transition to take us into a time where we don't need these things. And that's the goal. That's the focus. That's the dream. That's the dream I hold. Anyway, I see a lot of the Dragon family out there talking about their fears and what the dark side's going to do and stuff like that. They're still playing a duality game. They have not shifted their consciousness and ascended into their heart yet. I pray that they do soon. Nobody can do it for another. It's up to each individual to make that choice and do for themselves. And when you find that spot, sacred spot where your light emanates from, that God spot, the sacred G spot, you'll be in a bliss that you can't ever shut off. It's the most amazing sensation. I've been there for 5 years. I've been experiencing it for 10 years now, but I've been there without being able to shut it off for 5 years. And, that's why I like my wine in the evenings, and it's about time for a glass too. So anyway, 59 minutes, that's about perfect. I need to check all these messages of all these persons that are kind of frustrated with all these other messages. I am going to put that message about in the see more below this video on YouTube, and that message is about the carrot on a stick, about all the deception, new age deception that's going on with so many, because they're looking for the answers out there instead of in here. And we're going to find them in here. Anyway, love y'all. Bye for now.